officers there, the sergeant from Sacramento Police Department, that Sergeant Vance Chandler, who you see here on your screen, he was saying as about 40 minutes ago, in fact, well, probably now about 45 minutes ago, that man holed up inside the home there on Redwood Avenue was still firing shots. We know that there were multiple shots fired by officers responding there at the scene. But again, 45 minutes ago, this man was still firing shots at officers.
Let's listen in. We're on CBS13.com. Let's listen into the raw information we're getting.
And then also, nobody else in our community is shot. So this is very unique. And this is a very critical incident for not only all of our officers, but all of the agencies who are here to help us, and plus for our entire community, this whole area. So we are very grateful for all the support that we have received from all of the outside agencies who have responded and said, hey, whatever you need from us, we're here for you. So we appreciate that. And we also are very proud of the professionalism of our officers that they've displayed during this entire incident, and then the other agencies as well.
Was the second officer on this? How many homes have been evacuated?
I do not have that information. I can tell you that we know that the suspect has a rifle, so a rifle can extend, and so that's why we want to make sure that people, including media, stay out of the area, because we do not want anybody else being hurt.
And to the best of your knowledge, there's nobody else inside of the home where the suspect is, correct?
Again, that's to the best of our knowledge at this time, and every minute we continue to develop more information, but at this time, that's the information that we have.
And just to clarify,
do we have any details about exactly
Let me finish his question,
Yeah, okay,
I'm sorry.
And I think you mentioned earlier, was there for sure one other officer, or at least one other officer with the officer who was injured at the time when the shooting happened?
I want to make sure I understand your question. The officer.
So there's the officer who was injured, and then there was one other officer with that person, or there may have been possibly more than one officer with the one that was injured?
Again, this is all preliminary information. There's a lot of information to process, and I don't want to give out any inaccurate information. But the information that we have is that there was at least one other officer on scene when the shooting happened.
And that is the person that dispatched for help or whatever they need to do after the officer was injured?
I don't know exactly who dispatched for help.
You don't know if that officer was in a position to be with the wounded officer, physically able to be there to.
I don't have that information right now.
Do we know, I mean, it sounds like there was enough time or a lot of time before the officer was shot. Do you know any details about, was the officer surprised? Was there any kind of negotiation, conversation before this person became violent? Any description as to the scene of how the officer ended up being hurt, shot?
I haven't talked to the officer, so I don't have that information. I do know that shortly after 6 was when the shots were fired, and our officer was struck by gunfire, and then at least one officer, and then all the responding officers, they took extreme measures to make sure that everybody stayed safe, because when somebody has a rifle and they're firing at police officers, it's a very dangerous situation, and rifle rounds can obviously penetrate a lot of different things. So that's why all the officers who responded and who were on scene took every safety precaution after the shots were fired.
And the first shots were at the officer. They weren't at the spouse or anybody else. Like the first shots fired or registered fired at the household was this confrontation at the officer.
Well, again, this is all preliminary information. Once this scene is stabilized, there will be a lot of investigation that goes into figuring out how many shots were fired, the angle of the shots. But what we do know is that at that time, 6:10 p.m. Approximately, that our officer was struck by gunfire.
Please.
Yeah. Anything else in English?
Anybody else that you know of, neighbors that were hit or hurt, or reports of anything
At this time, the only information that we have as far as someone being injured is our officer, as far as struck by gunfire.
That's what you'll be giving another update tonight?
We too plan to give another update, and if you guys could just please stay out of the area for your safety, and we will be providing another update as we develop more information.
Just one more request. It was the lawn of a suspect's home where the officer was until, it wasn't a neighbor's lawn, or do you know?
I don't have that information. I do know that the officer was in the backyard of a residence.
A backyard of a residence.
Have you had previous contact at that location?
I don't have that information right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Vance.
Okay, you've been listening to a live news conference from the Sacramento Police Department. The headlines off top: we have an officer in serious condition, recovering after being shot by a high-powered rifle in the backyard of a North Sacramento home.